So this is power. Concept zero is that power is just the rate at which work is done. Okay, our formula for power is really simple. Power is work divided by time. So all we need to do on our little list here is add two more quantities, right? The first quantity is power, and then the second quantity is time, right? Okay, time is in seconds. So if I give you something that's in seconds, I'll bet it's time. And if you get a time, I'll bet the unit that it should be in is seconds. Okay, that's pretty simple, isn't it? Okay, so let's just do an example problem here. Let's suppose I did 24 joules of work in 3 seconds. Well, then I'd be doing work at a rate of 8 joules per second. That would be my power. Yeah? And of course, obviously, you know, cars that have more powerful engines can do more work on the car. They can transfer more energy to the car, typically speeding it up or making it climb hills, yes? Right? And a car with a bigger engine can climb a hill faster than a car with a smaller engine. Yeah? It's kind of a thing, right? Now, watt is another way to write joules per second. Watt is another way to write joules per second. That's what I'm asking. Watt is another way. I'm trying to find that out. Watt is another way. Somebody say yes. Yes. The unit for power. Watt. Okay, anyway. You could say or 8. Okay. Who is the president of China? That's what I'm asking. The president of China. The president of China. That's what I'm asking. Do you know the capital of Alaska? No, do you?
Nope.
Oh, that's a dumb joke. Oh, and then you can also say 8W. Yes. Okay. And then if you want to relate this to horsepower, 1 horsepower, or 1 Hewlett-Packard, or 1 higher power, you know, okay, is equal to actually 745.7 watts. Okay, there it is, right? A horse can do 745.7 joules of work per second, apparently all day long, right? What impresses me even more, though, is that that like Lance Armstrong, Greg LeMond, these people that can climb mountains so fast, right? Those guys can put out energy. They're working, if you do just rough calculations, they put out, I believe, more than a horsepower for some period of time. Isn't that amazing? Right? The average high school athlete in good shape can put out like 0.3 of a horsepower. So how do those guys get like that? I mean, besides steroids and stuff like that. You know? Now that's just an accusation. Okay? And then the other thing you might want to know, this is how we rate car engines. So when you talk about horsepower, you can just turn it into watts. And then 1 kilowatt for the metrically impaired is 1,000 watts. Now, we just happen to have a European in the classroom. Okay, so Eugenio in Italy, when they rate the power of cars, have you seen both of these? Have you seen horsepower? Do you also use kilowatts? Not so much. Okay. So I know in Germany those guys have seen kilowatts, but so a kilowatt's a little more. Makes your engine sound like a light bulb, though, distinctly. Right. So a 100-watt light bulb is transforming 100 joules of electrical energy into mostly heat and some light per second. Right. Okay. So we can fill in our thing here. Your cheat sheet now has. It's got power is in watts, the time is in seconds, right? We can write in what they are. This is like the ultimate cheat sheet, okay? This is called power when you see it in English, and this is called time. Isn't that beautiful, right? And now we just need another formula here, and I guess the formula looks like this. Power is work divided by time, or you can say triangle. Work is power. Isn't work power times time? Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the rate at which you do work times time. Yeah? If I give you $8 per second for 5 seconds, I've given you $40, haven't I? It's like life with a teenager, right? Okay. Power is the work the money I give you divided by the time. Time is how much money you want to earn divided by your hourly wage. Yeah. It's how long you got to work. Does that help? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, these are just we've done this before, right? So, is there anything else? Let's hit the right arrows and see if there's something else I was supposed to say. Power, work done, time to do the work. We already did an example. We don't need to. Whoops. Yeah, we got that. Oh, and then I'll show you another formula. Let's make another formula because I know you guys want nothing but another formula, right? So power is also, since it's work times time, or work over time, sorry, it's also the same as force times distance over time, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah? So what is distance over time? Starts with a V, rhymes with velocity. It's the velocity, yeah. Here you go. Okay, so you can also say that power is the force you're exerting times the velocity that you're moving, right? So this is another one. You can relate this to a car, right? If there's a certain force acting against it, like if it's going uphill or if there's air friction or something, right? The more powerful car can go faster. So we can make another formula here. So in our formula list, I guess we got to start another column here. Power is also force times velocity. So in that one, power, force. That's kind of cool, huh? So if you look at this thing, the speed a car can go is directly proportional to the power of the car, inversely proportional to the force acting against the car. That's not a big surprise, is it? So what do? They make cars more streamlined to make F smaller, right? And they put more powerful engines in them. Yeah, I don't think you guys are paying attention. To me. All right. Well, should we try some of these? Okay, a 30 horsepower van. I had a 30 horsepower Volkswagen van. Okay, it did not need a cruise control. Because if you had a level road, if you didn't have a headwind, if you had the windows rolled up, if you had recently tuned the engine, and you did not have the rag top pulled back, all of these things would slow it down. You could press pedal to the metal, and the speedometer would go, and it would go speed up to about 60 miles per hour, and it would go no faster. Pedal to the metal with this car, 60 miles per hour. Isn't that crazy? No need. And it was a big van, it got 30 miles per gallon. That's kind of amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Most people want like maybe a little more power than that because they might want to like pass somebody. If you had not tuned the engine up, no, I wouldn't go 60. You know, so if the points were a little bit worn, or if you hadn't adjusted them right, it would go slower. If the windows were rolled down, it would go slower. Go 55 with the windows open. It's amazing that windows would cause that change of speed. Isn't that crazy? And I got pulled over in that van for going too slow. Honest to God. State Highway Patrol pulled me over. He called my van a jalopy too. Said, how fast will the old jalopy go? And I said, well, and here was the problem. I had tried to tune it up, and I didn't know it, but I had dropped. There's a distributor which makes the spark go to all the cylinders. Yeah. Okay. In the distributor, there's a thing called a rotor that goes around and around. Hence the term rotor. Right. The rotor is connected to the coil by a little thing. It's a disc of carbon that touches the top of the rotor. That disc of carbon had fallen out, and I didn't know it. And so all that was touching the top of the rotor was like a spring that was supposed to hold the carbon disc. And so it was running really rough. Yeah. And I was like supposed to be best man in a wedding. And I couldn't like stop and like troubleshoot the car. Right. And he pulls me over because I was not in the far right lane. I had moved over from the far right lane because the right lane was an exit only. And I had to pick a break in traffic to get over. Yeah? Yeah, yeah? I know. Thank you for the yeah, yeah.